Welcome to Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and this quilt looks very complicated with all of these curved pieces. Those curved pieces really gives this corner a flower look. Now, curved piecing can be a little bit difficult unless, of course, it's not a curve at all. It's just a folded piece of fabric. And that folding means there are no curved seams. So this goes together, I promise you, really quick and easy. Every piece of this quilt starts at a 4.5-inch strip. So each piece is 4.5 inches. So that is going to make it easy just to start off with. We are going to need some background fabrics, and I've chosen 3 different reds. Now you can mix up those colors. You can make them pink, yellow, even change them. It's more of the system that I'd like to share with you. And the pieces that I'm going to need for this quilt are 4 sashing pieces and 4 C pieces. They're both 4.5 inches, and they're cut at 16.5 inches. 4 D's and F's, 4.5 inches, and those are 12.5 inches. 4 number E's, 4.5 inches by 8.5 inches. Then we're going to need a square. We're going to need 9 of them at 4.5 inches. Some white background fabric, and we need 28 cut at 4.5 inches. We do have some borders, so we're going to need 4 pieces, 4.5 inches by 36.5 inches. And of course, some binding. We're going to be doing a press and a curved seam. So a little bit of glue will definitely be helpful. We need to take C, D, F, and E, and we're going to turn them into those curved pieces. And this is going to be very simple. There are no set-in seams, no half square triangles. It's all going to be pressing. So what I want to do is lay out the block first so you can see what that block is going to look like, and it's going to give you a better idea on the pressing. So we are making 4 large 16.5-inch blocks. We're going to start and make a 4 patch. The colored piece is going to go towards the quilt. We will need piece E and F, piece D and C. And this is going to make a flower. This will be the center of the flower and the outside petals. We need to press some of these corners over. We want to make some points. So D and E need to be pressed right here on the angle. The F and the C also need to be pressed over. This is going to give you a better idea on how that flower is going to take shape. So when we put these long red ones side by side, we're going to have 2 going in one direction and 2 going in the opposite direction. So let's work on D and F. We're going to take that corner and fold it underneath. We just need to match up those edges and press. So you can see the angle of that. So the left side is getting pressed underneath. We need to do that pressing to all of the D's and all of the E's. Once those are all pressed in, just flip those over. We're going to take one of those squares, just line it up so the right side is facing down, and it's going to go right over top. And that's where this little bit of glue is going to come in. We need to glue just the corner, not this area. Just a little bit of glue in that corner, and another little bit of glue in the corner. Press those together. When we turn it over, when the quilt top's all done, this little fold is going to be folded down and stitched in that curve. And I'm going to pin just to hold those together. So when we look at the back, those edges match up. The sides are all in line. piece is now the same size, which we started at 12.5 inches. And we need to do that to all 8 of these pieces. So we now have D and E done. We need to do the same thing to F and C, but the angles are going from the right under to the left. Same idea, we're pressing those down and then putting that white right underneath. So both good sides are showing. So these are the directions that we're wanting. If you'd like, you can always put them back into the right spot. And once we get that 4 patch done, we're really going to be able to see how this all goes together. So the first thing we need to do is actually sew this 4 patch together. So we are going to need to take 4 of those 9 blocks. One block will be a center stone that will go to the sashing, and the other 4 blocks go to the border. Once that 4 patch is done, we're going to sew E onto that 4 patch. So that solid square is going to that bottom of that block. We're going to sew these together just as if this was one piece. You can see where we end up with that beautiful 1/4 inch seam allowance and a nice sharp point. We're going to be able to sew F on, and we're going to do that the same way. I do like to keep that pin in on that seam that I have not stitched. Once F is done, I'm going to be able to sew on D and then piece number C. This finished block is now 16.5 inches. I do have a pin on each of these corners just to secure that little fold down. You can see that we do have these nice little open areas, and those we're going to be able to turn down once the quilt top is done. So we have all of those nice points in the front side. These are all of those white squares that we sewed on. So we do have some open seams, and we're going to be able to quilt those down after. We won't have to worry about them. We need to sew these together with sashing in between. I recommend doing the top and the bottom first. And once those 2 pieces are done, we're going to be able to take that center, put that cornerstone on, and then sew all of those together. The center of that quilt is done. We are now going to put on that final border. A long strip on 2 sides, and then we're going to take those remaining 4 4.5 inch squares and add them onto that strip and put them on to the 2 other sides. Once those borders are on, we're going to be able to work on these points. They do look like half square triangles, but it didn't take the work of a half square triangle. And the bonus is we're going to be able to fold and curve those down. You can make small curves or really give them a nice curve. And we can run a stitch right on the machine on that curve. I like to curve it down first with the iron. So I'm going to take the iron, just warm up this little fold, and then fold it over until we get the shape that we want and repress it. Put a little pin to hold it, and then you're going to be able to take it to the machine and stitch. And that's going to turn all of those straight edges into those beautiful curved edges. With that one little row of stitching, it has turned that half square triangle look into a curved piece. That back is secured, so we don't have to worry about that. So they now have beautiful curves without all the work. So that method of just pressing those corners over and putting that fabric in underneath gave us the opportunity, when it was all done, to do these beautiful curves. So this was all straight pieced and done quick and easy. Not a lot of pieces, because those pieces were nice, big and bold pieces. This can be made in any color. It would be fun no matter how you make it. And those curves really just give it that extra little pop. I do hope you give it a try. It really was a lot of fun and it went together quick and easy. And thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I do have a newsletter. It's all free under Sew Very Easy. Thanks again, and be sure to make every day a Sewtacular day. Bye for now.